Psychiatric Association Foundation. Director Burke is going to tell us a little bit about what he sees in store for Stepping Up, and then he'll be introducing Denise O'Donnell, the director of BJA. Take it away, Paul. You got it?
Well, thank you and good morning, everybody. It's been a great conference. So this section is called What's Next? What's next for Stepping Up? A vision of where we think we're going together. And this is an outline of the vision that our organization, in partnership with the Council of State Governments, Justice Center, and the National Association of Counties have put together looking to the future. And one of the things that I wanted to make sure everybody understood is we're really putting a tremendous emphasis on teamwork and partnership. And we see this as a public-private partnership engaging a whole range of organizations, from the federal government, to state governments, to corporations that have been supporting us, to other foundations and associations. And so this is a sketch outline that after this Stepping Up Summit, we're going to spend a great deal of time thinking through, based on the results here, based on our observations here, some of yours, where we're going next. But I'll lay it out for you as just that, our outline of thinking. And then it'll be my privilege to introduce Denise O'Donnell, the Director of the Bureau of Justice Assistance inside the Department of Justice, to speak further from the federal standpoint, because their help has been instrumental in us being able to carry the campaign thus far. And Director O'Donnell, I just wanted to thank you personally for all you've done. So we are in the business of conducting a national campaign. And at its core, it encourages local and state governments to reduce the number of people with mental illness in jail, and it will also build public support for this goal. Our organization is the public educator of the APA. In many ways, the social responsibility arm of the APA. And we have multiple public educational programs, and this is going to be one of our mainstays for a long time to come. We're also looking at providing technical assistance to individual counties to demonstrate the potential for reducing the number of people with mental illnesses in jail. We're also looking at designing and implementing state and local collaborations in selected jurisdictions. And we're thinking real hard about convening an annual national summit of county teams and a diverse group of stakeholders to advance comprehensive plans for systems change, highlighting promising practices, and helping counties track their progress. And all of us will be working together to enhance access to federal and state legislative efforts that are informing both Republican and Democratic leaders in the United States Congress about the work that is already underway. And we saw some of that this morning. And it will also include advocating for federal funding to support state and local governments. So just to give you some background here, launched in 2015, last year, the Stepping Up initiative that we see is envisioned as a 5-year effort, which will in reality may take a great deal longer than that to realize substantial reductions. The budget for this project, when you take everything considered, we're estimating to be between $3 and $5 million per year. In the first year of the project, commitments that totaled $4 million have been received, coming from the federal government, the Bureau of Justice Assistance especially, national foundations like ours and the corporations that support our effort, and the Langloth and the Macarthur Foundation. In addition, local foundations, including the Meadows Foundation in Texas, the California Endowment, the Gun Fund in Ohio, and the Margaret Morgan Clark Family Foundation, also in Ohio, have continued contributing funding to support their respective states. This is a long-term campaign. When we first got into it, we were meeting, I think, with our colleagues at Council of State Governments and NACO, and we said, as the foundation of the APA, we are in this to build a movement, not a moment, a movement, and that's what we're doing here today. And so with that, it is my distinct pleasure to introduce Denise O'Donnell, the Director of the Bureau of Justice Assistance in the Department of Justice. Director O'Donnell.
Well, thank you so much, Paul. I remember an amazing day on May 5th of 2016, almost a year ago, when the Stepping Up initiative was launched in a very inspirational convening here on the Hill and in 3 other locations around the country. And it's simply amazing and gratifying to me to see the numerous partners who have already stepped up and are here today and so engaged in making the Stepping Up vision a movement. So thank you very much for our conveners. So what's next? Although the summit concludes this afternoon, the work in many cases is just beginning. The Council of State Governments Justice Center, the American Psychiatric Foundation, the National Association of Counties, and BJA stand ready to support you in a number of ways so that you have the tools that are necessary to implement your plans. We are so committed to this work that you are doing that we have dedicated resources to support planning, implementation, and expansion of your efforts. First, help with data collection. This year, we've added a category of funding under the Justice and Mental Health Collaboration Grant Program that provides funding for counties who wish to analyze their data, to perform gap analyses, to better understand the challenges and the opportunities that exist to better serve the mentally ill populations in their counties. For planning and implementation, we've designated funding for training and technical assistance to ensure that you receive the assistance you need through the planning and the implementation phases of your plans, with the ultimate goal of reducing the number of mentally ill persons in your jails. We also know that enforcement of fees and fines can have devastating consequences on people with mental illness that come into contact with the criminal justice system, as well as their families. So BJA is investing $2.5 million in competitive grants to communities wanting to test new ideas and strategies that restructure the assessment and enforcement of fines and fees. In partnership with the State Justice Institute and the National Center for State Courts, we're supporting a national task force that brings together state chief justices and their court administrators to examine the fees and fines issue and make recommendations for change. We recognize that in order to see a meaningful reduction of mentally ill individuals in our jails, we must focus on how individuals enter the system, and when possible, divert low-level individuals, many of whom are mentally ill, from going to jail, and provide them with access for the services that they need. That's why BJA is investing resources, tools, and assistance in law enforcement agencies to enhance their responses to persons with mental illness. Through the Justice and Mental Health Collaboration Program you've heard so much about, law enforcement agencies are able to partner with behavioral health providers to plan, implement, and expand responses that achieve better outcomes for individuals with mental illness who come in contact with the police. We support specialized police responses when responding to persons who are exhibiting signs of mental illness, like CIT, co-responder models, mobile crisis teams, jail diversion programs, and officer-based case management programs. But we also know that one size does not fit all. I think we heard that from Senator Cornyn. Each community is different, and their response should be different as well. To help you think which strategy works for you and works best in your jurisdiction, We're developing an online toolkit that will allow law enforcement agencies to better understand the different response models and to assist them in picking the one that is right for their community. And one thing we have heard a lot about is how much you can learn from other successful jurisdictions that have implemented successful programs. So BJA supports law enforcement learning sites, each of which has taken a slightly different approach to designing a specialized police response to mentally ill individuals. And we can provide support for your team to visit one of those sites. Something you've heard a lot about has happened so far in the Stepping Up initiative. To continue to enhance crisis intervention training, BJA has partnered with CNA, NAMI, and the University of Memphis to develop a CIT national curriculum that may be tailored to meet a jurisdiction's unique needs. We tentatively plan to pilot the curriculum this summer and hope to make it publicly available soon. I'm also pleased to announce that just yesterday, we posted a new fellowship position for an individual with demonstrated experience in specialized police-based responses to persons with mental illness to come and work with us at BJA and to assist us in enhancing our efforts to strengthen law enforcement responses to the mentally ill. So that's posted. We need applications by May 20th, and if you know qualified individuals who have been working in this field who wants to come and help us lead this effort at BJA, please send them our way. We're also encouraging criminal justice professionals and agencies to use validated risk and needs assessment tools to assess risk and offer alternatives to arrest, prosecution, and conviction for low-risk and first-time arrestees. The focus is on quick assessment of risk of flight, reoffending, and violence. We've been working to pilot and conduct research on the use of a risk assessment tool in a pretrial setting so that you will have all the tools that we know, or you will have a tool that we know works. Specifically, we're testing a new tool in New York City that identifies the individual's risk of being rearrested and their underlying needs so we can divert them to social services in lieu of jail, and we hope to make that tool available to other communities soon. We're also supporting early diversion efforts to prevent individuals from entering the justice system in the first place. The prosecutor-led diversion project, funded through the Second Chance Act, provides training and technical assistance to prosecutors wishing to divert defendants out of the criminal justice system and into treatment. There are many other opportunities. BJA funds programs for persons with co-occurring disorders through the Second Chance Act, mental health courts, veterans treatment courts, and another resource that I want to make sure that you consider is the Justice Assistance Act grant program, which is our largest formula-based program to the states. So one of the other individuals that you should meet with is your SAA that administers your JAG program, and talk to them about how your state is allocating your JAG funds, as well as some pass-through funds under the JAG program that have to be passed through to smaller and rural communities in your states. So there are so many resources, and I have to say, from working in the criminal justice system at the local level and at the state level, we can't underestimate the value of good technical assistance and learning from other sites that have done the work that you're setting out to do. So I really hope that you will take advantage of those resources that are available. If we don't have an existing technical assistance program to help you with a need that you have, we have a National Training and Technical Assistance Center at BJA, NTAC, online form, and you can let us know the kind of training and technical assistance that you need. So that's just a short overview. This is the grant season. Some of these grant solicitations are currently open. If they've closed this year, It's just time for you to start planning for next year. I appreciated the prior panel and their advice. I think the best way to look at these federal grant opportunities is an important source for training, technical assistance, and mentor visits, but also for demonstration programs that you approach as seed money to really start the program that you really want and need in your community. So I appreciate and applaud your commitment. I'm inspired by you, and if there's anything we can do at BJA to help you succeed at the county level, just give us a call. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Director O'Donnell. For those of us who got to see her at the kickoff and the call to action last May, you really felt her passion for this topic, and you've done everything and more that you committed to a year ago. We're really, really grateful to your personal support on this, as well as BJA's generally. Just want to underscore something that Director O'Donnell there said at the end. She went through a whole list of different opportunities, but there are a number of opportunities that are open right now, and if you go to BJA's website, you'll see deadlines in May for some of these things, and that still leaves time for you to put together applications. And as we've seen, sometimes just the process of putting together an application, even if it doesn't get funded, has a wonderful catalytic effect. So certainly urge you to take advantage of those opportunities that Director O'Donnell just laid out. To Paul Burke and the American Psychiatric Association Foundation, first of all, what an incredible development for us in the justice field to have the American Psychiatric Association, the foundation, the health community stepping forward. I know for someone who's worked in criminal justice and corrections for more than 20 years, oftentimes corrections folks where I came from sort of talking among themselves, when will the health community really come to this issue? And you're here in force, and we are incredibly grateful to you, Lindsay, and your fantastic team at the American Psychiatric Association Foundation, and we're all constantly quoting Paul Burke's, this is not a moment, this is a movement, and it's building now. So thank you very much, Paul. The go-to association, the go-to group for local governments, for county governments in particular, without question, in the country is NACO. We recognize that many of you are here because of your commitment to NACO. To Matt Chase, who's insisted on always being in the shadows throughout the this whole conference, I want to thank Matt, who from the beginning, when he heard about this particular issue, said this is a priority for our members. We have to deliver. It can't be anything superficial. Matt, you've always had a vision for how this would work. I want to thank you. I want to thank Megan Gilmore and Anastasia Walsh. Thank you very, very much. I'm self-conscious because you've seen a lot of me. Hopefully you've seen a lot of our board members at different sessions throughout the past day and a half. But really this all works because of the great team that supports me and works constantly on this stuff. Phoebe Potter has been the team lead on this project. We're losing her soon, which is a big blow, but we also know that she's been an incredible contributor to us for many, many years. We're grateful to Phoebe. Katie Habert was the person who was really the lead on this, and she worked tirelessly with a whole team of staff that I can't recognize all by name, but I can tell you there were also people working on logistics like Julie Romero, who did a fantastic job. And then if any of you have seen any of the live streams or heard from your colleagues about it, the quality is amazing. That's people in the balcony who are doing all that. Robert Coombs and his team. And then I can tell you from a staff perspective, it ain't easy shuttling in members of Congress and the White House and making it all run smooth. You know, a lot of stressful hand-wringing in those moments. And to Mike Clark and the government team, government affairs team, thank you very, very much. One other introduction that I just want to make, we are thrilled to be bringing aboard a director of our behavioral health division. Many of you have talked again and again about the importance of housing, and there's no better way to address the issue of homelessness than providing somebody with a home. And really, I think underscoring our commitment to that and our excitement to bring this dimension to our work, Richard Cho, who has worked with the Corporation for Supportive Housing, the Deputy Director of the Interagency Council on Homelessness, is going to be starting with us in a couple of weeks. Richard's over here. I hope he'll stand up and wave. So hopefully you get a chance to talk to him. He'll be actually leading a session on housing during our breakouts. So just real quick to run through again in terms of what's next for Stepping Up, I think Paul ran through it quite well. Number one, this has to be nothing less than a campaign. And frankly, for a nonpartisan membership association spanning the far left and the far right, I get a little anxious thinking about a campaign. But yet, when you've got Senator Cornyn and Valerie Jarrett both saying we're 100% behind these kinds of goals, you really can feel, I think, the bipartisan support. And so we're eager to be talking to NAMI and the other advocacy organizations about how we can really bring this issue home to people across the country in the form of a campaign. We learn a lot by working locally. There needs to continue to be those local demonstration projects. Dr. Fabello talked about lessons learned from Bexar County and Dallas County. Dr. Osher talked about work in Franklin County and Salt Lake. What are those next round of demonstration sites? We're eager to be talking to you, and we have to demonstrate how this works at a rural level. How can rural counties work on a regional level? How can they be backstopped by the state? These models that we've talked about for large urban counties will not work for small rural areas, and we really need to think about approaches. We need to demonstrate that. So there will be continue to be an effort to really work locally and demonstrate. Hank Stedman had a great announcement that hopefully you heard. Dr. Stedman has been a great partner from the Policy Research Associates and the Gain Center. He led a session on sequential intercept mapping. He announced that there's an opportunity for 15 sites and would certainly encourage many of you to pursue that, to bring in experts in sequential intercept mapping to your county. Many of you will say what an incredible driving force that was in getting things off the ground. Judge Leifman talks about it from the beginning in Miami. So please follow up with the Gain Center about bringing sequential intercept mapping to your jurisdiction. It's a great thing that they can do with foundation support from the Langeloth Foundation. We're also interested in what the role of the state is. We've had fascinating conversations. Dr. Keller talked about what's happening at the state level. Tracy Plough talked about what Ohio at the state level is doing. Secretary Wetzel talked about what he wants to do in Pennsylvania. Other fantastic statewide efforts in California, I know that Linda Penner's leading, as well as in Florida with the reinvestment grant that Judge Leifman talked about. What's the role of the state in bringing this to scale? Because we can't go county by county from a national level. That's going to be the third prong of Stepping Up looking forward. We love the idea of an additional summit. We can use a little break after this one, but certainly looking forward to one a year from now, and then also want to continue to see a federal climate set for this work. We know that there's going to be changes in Washington no matter what happens in November, and we want to make sure that the new administration, that whoever's in Congress continues the bipartisan support for this work that creates the political momentum for you to do this. So those are our 5 prongs of our work, and as Paul said, we're just getting started. We got a lot of work ahead, but frankly, we're all just going to keep talking about you, the 50 counties that are in this room, right? Our success, frankly, depends on what you do and going back to your jurisdictions. We want to know what you did, what you're doing after you came out of the summit. So we're going to be hounding you for information. So what's going on now? What are you doing differently? What are you achieving? What can we tell other counties has happened? And then also, what do you need? What do you need in terms of, Director O'Donnell talked about technical assistance. We know everybody needs money, but what other kinds of information and support can be offered at the national level to continue to propel your work forward? That's what we see for Stepping Up in the years ahead. We think we've got a great team to do it, and again, our success hinges on you. So thank you very much. We have more work ahead of us. We have another breakout session that's occurring now, and then we have final lunch that will be in this room where we have the number 2 in the entire U.S. Department of Justice, the Deputy Attorney General, Sally Yates, will be addressing the group, and also Lori Garducki from the Macarthur Foundation. Macarthur Foundation's made a $75 million commitment to working with counties. They have some announcements to make about counties that they're partnering with, so I hope you'll be joining us for that final goodbye luncheon. So more work to do. Thank you all very, very much.